Uh-oh.
Hello.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
Sorry, I forgot that we had the link already. I was waiting for it,
Oh,
and
you were waiting for me.
yeah.
Okay. Right, no problem, man. I always send my students the link in the beginning of the class, just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Just give me one little second. I mean, stay online with me. I just want to make sure that the
Hmm.
streaming, we have an excellent connection here. And okay, could you go ahead and tell me a little bit about what you remember from last class, from the last part of the video we watched? I prepared
Mm,
something. I prepared a small exercise for you today, actually. But just
hmm.
for us to warm up. What do you remember?
I remember about the interview. How he had talked to this. He told us that he had talked with this Ku Klux Klan leader,
Mm-hmm.
and how the, a strange noise coming from the ice bucket put them in a weird situation that they realized that they were all afraid of everyone around. So they were in this in this in this in this moment. They were in this state that they would instinctively they
Inst-
were. Is this a word?
instinctively.
Instinctive,
Instinctively.
instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes, there is this
they
word.
were they were ready to react in a violent way because they were afraid of them. So
Mm-hmm.
the what triggered the survivability instinct,
Mm-hmm. The
the
survival instinct.
survival instinct,
So what you think triggered was that fear. Fear
the
triggered.
fear. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So it was at that point where we stopped, right? Okay.
Yes.
So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna send you a link, okay, to an
Hmm.
exercise that I prepared for you, which is based on that part of the story. Okay. So what I would like you to do, Leo, I'm gonna send you the link right away, and I would like you to go to the bottom of this page, okay, because the first part of the first two sections we've already covered with questions and answers. Okay.
Hmm.
So and I would like you to share your screen with me, so that way
Okay.
I can see what you're doing. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in the chat box. Here we go. Right. So click on it and then share your screen with me.
Wait a minute. Uh, okay, sharing this screen. Okay, I can
Okay.
see my screen. Hmm.
Great, great. Okay. So scroll down the page to the last one. It's a video,
Hmm.
and I created. Uh, wait a second. Wait a minute. Now I'm a little bit worried about something here. There's a video at the top. Yes. But it's funny because can you try to refresh your screen on the browser?
Hmm.
Have you scrolled to the bottom? Scroll to the very bottom. Yes, yes, yes. No, because you're not supposed to have anything under that last video. We're gonna work on the last
Hmm.
one, only the last one. Okay. So what I would
Okay,
like you
but
to.
now I don't have boxes to drag.
Oh no, but you will have inside the video.
Okay.
You will have it later. Okay. So what you're
Hmm.
going to do, Leo, is this: you're gonna click on the play button, right? And then there's going to be a
Hmm.
link there that will drag you to the specific position of the video where we have a short summary of what we were discussing. So if you just play the video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There you go. Click on it.
Okay.
Okay. So you
So
just play until a little quiz exercise appears. Okay. It's a little drag
okay.
and drop exercise with text.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I go? Can
Yeah.
you hear? what
No, no, I
I'm
don't need
what
to
I'm.
hear. In fact, it's okay because I already know everything that is there. I just want to see you
Hmm.
doing it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, there you go. And then, Leo,
Hmm.
as you go along, okay, you can read it aloud so that we can follow what you're doing, okay?
Okay.
So,
So I remember that the very beginning he said, all because some foreign entity of which we were unaware,
mhm.
that being the bucket of ice and the cans of soda, enter our little comfort zone via the noise that it made. We became um, we became fearful
Yes. And,
and accusatory
mhm.
of one another. The lesson thought is this: ignorance breeds fear. If you do not keep that fear in check, that fear in turn
Mhm.
is, I think, is this,
Yes, that's it. Mhm.
will breed um will be will breed hatred, because we hate those things that frighten us. If you do not keep that hatred in check, that hatred will turn will breed destruction. We want to destroy those things that we hate. Why? Because they frighten us. But guess what they but guess that uh
But guess what? They
guess what, they may have been harmless and we were simply ignorant.
brilliant. Okay. You did very well. You did very fast. Okay, now that you've got all the answers, I would like you because you have a beautiful pronunciation. You know, your pronunciation in English is really really good. So Leo, and you're a reporter too. You're a journalist. Can you read it
Mhm.
one more time?
Okay. All because some foreign entity of which we were
Unaware.
unaware, that being the bucket of ice and the cans of soda, entered our little comfort zone via the noise that it made, we became fearful and accusatory of one another. The lesson taught is this: ignorance breeds fear. If you do not keep that fear in check, that fear in turn will breed hatred, because we hate those things that frighten us. If you do not keep that hatred in check, that hatred in turn will breed destruction. We want to destroy those things that we hate. Why? Because they frighten us. But guess what? They may have been harmless and we were simply ignorant.
Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. There are lots of things that I want to do with this exercise because I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
very interesting piece of writing. I mean, piece of speech. Very interesting ideas.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I would like to do, Leo, is to ask you this: do you have any questions at all about vocabulary or grammatical structure that Daryl used in this part of his explanation? In this,
Yes,
yes.
yes. I have a question about the construction of an expression
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not familiar with. That is using something in turn. I
Mm.
mean, because the fear in turn will breed hatred. Why is in turn like a state of fear that
Mm-hmm.
is caused by we do not putting this in check?
Mm.
I'm not sure about the structural objective goal function here
Mm,
of the word intern.
mm,
Because it simply could be, if you do not keep that fear in check, that fear will breed hatred. This is what looks more familiar to me and more right. you
mm.
know
So, in other words, you don't feel the need to use this
the fear.
particular. Yeah, you could,
Yes, exactly.
you could live without it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could do without that. Okay, those elements in the sentence. Let's put it
Mm-hmm.
that way. That's very interesting. But before I explain, because I know you have your system of figuring things out, and I want to use that with you, okay? Now, because I know the answers, now stop sharing your screen for a minute, but you can keep
Okay.
this window open for your reference, okay? It's just that
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know by heart now. Um,
uh,
you
how
can
did I
just, if you click on the stop sharing, it should do the trick.
where is the sub
If
sharing?
you go to the whereby interface at the bottom next to the microphone, it should be a
Oh,
little,
yeah,
yeah, it
it's in
just,
Portuguese. Stop.
yeah.
So,
Okay, but your camera now is off. Okay, it's back. So Leo, because I like to see when you do your thing, with vocabulary, and you figure things out by making your analogies and connections, and so on. So here's the deal. When you're playing a game and you use the verb, the word turn as a noun,
mm-hmm.
like when I say, okay, we're playing domino, and there are four people, and you're kind of daydreaming, and I say, hey, Leo, it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How would you explain to someone else if they didn't understand this use of it's your turn?
Okay, so there are basically two types of game: the turn-based games and the live games. I don't know, the on simultaneously games.
Right.
The turn-based games are the games that everyone has their moment to do some action. So you cannot do anything you want anytime, because
Whenever you want.
whenever you want, yes, you have your moment when you can act, and you have to wait other people's turns before doing again something that you
Okay.
might want.
If you use this as the basis for an analogy, right? If we go back to Daryl's sentence, okay,
Mm-hmm.
his construction, and try to apply that analogy, see if it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if we don't keep that fear in check, that fear in turn will breed hatred. Does that make sense? It's like a
Mm-hmm.
game. The analogy of a game. When the time comes for fear to play its part, it will do it, and
Mm-hmm.
it will transform its the feeling, which is just a fear. It will transform it into something bigger, which is hatred.
Mm-hmm. But you understand that, like, what the feeling that the feeling that I felt was
Mm-hmm.
that was not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
necessary
Mm-hmm.
and on this case it makes sense because it's kind of an analogy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not exactly um needed. I don't know, like,
You don't think it's necessary? No,
yes.
no, I don't think it's necessary either. It's one of those it's one of those structures you can do without.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's just that I suppose we could say that Daryl, because is a rather eloquent man, he's very intelligent, and he speaks with a certain degree of eloquence. That's why
Mm-hmm.
he uses extra elements.
Yes.
They're not extremely necessary, right? But they fit in. If
Yes,
you
yes.
the point is they really fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I made a question already expecting this kind of answer because I felt that I could, like I said, that was not needed, but
Mm-hmm.
perhaps it's a way to turn this in a more sophisticated way of expression. And on this case, what pops in my mind, like one tip that I had, that this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of his style of speaking, is
Mm-hmm.
because he said, if you do not keep that fear in check, not if you don't keep that fear in check. He pronunciates the do and the not, in a way that he is trying
Yeah.
to emphasize that, like, okay,
Yes.
if you do not, it's more, it's a better way to make your point clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're trying to
You,
use the biggest amount of words that can express the more accurate way your
mm-hmm.
ideas.
Yeah, I think you nailed it when you said it's for emphasis. You emphasize, when you do something like this, because don't is the contraction of do and not. But
Mm-hmm.
when you say, but if you do not, because you see, one of the uses for auxiliaries in English, right? Uh, namely do, did, and so on, is to produce emphasis. So, for example, let's suppose we are a group of friends having a conversation, and for some reason you feel I don't like you anymore, and I did
Mm-hmm.
something that made you think that, and you say, but that surprises me a lot, and I go, but Leo, come on, I do like you. I don't need that. If you think
Mm-hmm.
about, but Leo, I like you, right? I can do without the auxiliary, but why would I use do for emphasis? But I
Mm-hmm.
do, I do, I do like you, right? So if you keep this idea in mind, that's why he did that. Instead of contracting, he said, but if you don't, because you see, there's another element there, Leo. I think it's an element of warning. He wants to warn us. Look, if we don't keep that fear in check, that fear. And I think there's another reason why he uses, now that you asked that question, you made me think about something else. There is an element of a kind of a progression in time, because you see, it's like he's describing a story that is going to unfold, you know. Because okay, so first something happens that make you scared. It scares you, but it's okay. Uh, Being afraid or feeling scared is part of who we are. There's nothing wrong with feeling scared from time to time. But over time, if we don't do that, when the time comes for that fear to play its role. So that's why he said that fear in turn. So I think that another reason why he used the word in turn, it's because he wanted us to follow him as he
Mm-hmm.
progressed over the
In a
timeline.
sequence of events.
Exactly. Like to describe a sequence of events. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, we can do without it. It's no big deal. But I think one of the reasons he's using is this emphasis, right? And also because of the distribution of events over the timeline. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay. Now that we've covered and we know the answers, my second question to you is this. It's not necessarily that it's a doubt, but is there anything that you find particularly interesting in the way he constructed that
Mm-hmm.
paragraph? Have a look at it. See if there's anything there that kind of draws your attention.
Um. uh, I like the verb to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a clever way to express this action.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know if there's something
Okay, let me point out
special.
let me point something out to you. Okay, let me just load my. Okay, all because some foreign entity of which we were unaware. Tell me something. The word unaware
Mm-hmm.
doesn't pose any challenge to you. You know what that means, right? You can be
Mm-hmm.
aware of something and you can be unaware of something, right? But didn't you find it a little bit interesting the fact that right after the word unaware, he didn't use the preposition of? Because when you're aware or unaware, you are aware or unaware of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you notice what he did with that preposition?
Because of some foreign entity of which we were unaware. That being uh, he put the off first, like the entity
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
which.
Because you see, when you're reading or when you're listening to something like that, it sounds natural to you, understanding the message. I'm sure you don't have a problem getting the message. But I'm trying to alert you, to highlight this, because if you were writing, maybe you would not feel as comfortable
Mm-hmm.
doing this, you know?
Yes, probably not. Probably I would.
You
I
wouldn't,
would
right?
not use this structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I just want to point this out to you. That preposition doesn't belong to which is
Mm-hmm.
just a relative pronoun that we use to connect those two sentences. If we think about, the preposition of belongs to unaware, because when you are aware or unaware, you have to be aware or unaware of something. But he inverted the order of things, right? So he said,
Mm-hmm.
well, all because a foreign entity. And then he wanted to say that that foreign entity was something that he was unaware of. Notice that I'm explaining the same thing, but using a different sequence. Then I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to do that. But because he links them with the word which, right? So all because all because a foreign entity, and then there's something important about this entity. I'm not just talking about any, I'm talking about one that I was unaware of. So of which we were unaware of, and then he explained that that entity he was referring to was the bucket of ice. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to highlight this to you, that it's one of those things that when we're listening to or when we're reading, we understand. If we have to use, we're less comfortable with them. Okay? Great. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this. I'm going to play the video here inside the whereby, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to advance. So we got to the point, right, where he said that the reason why they had become fearful and accusatory of one another was simply because they were ignorant. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
One last question about the structure. Did you notice at the very bottom where he said, well, that entity or that fear, that thing, that scared them, in fact, may have been
Harmless.
harmless. It
Mm-hmm.
We were simply ignorant, right? Are you comfortable with that use of modal perfect, the perfect tense structure with the modal may? So
Mm-hmm.
that thing may have been harmless. In other words, there was no reason for us to be afraid of, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
because we were ignorant. You okay with that?
Yes.
Because you see, Leo, these are the kinds of structures that, in order for us to take possession of them, and to integrate them into our vocabulary, it's a matter of trying to use them. Okay, I just want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're comfortable with that
Yes,
particular one.
because he's speculating. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not important if it was or not, but the
Mm-hmm.
fact that there was a doubt about that is
And there
what
was a doubt
caused
in the past. He's
in the
speculating.
past.
Is
Yes.
speculating in the past. Okay, great. So let me just organize the link here, and then I'm gonna play it inside. 1
Mm-hmm.
second.
Last we carried. Well, CNN.
We live in strange times.
And I would go to his house. I would see his engage in conversation with others around the country. We hate those things that frighten us. If you do not keep that hatred in check,
Leo, before I forget, there's something interesting I wanna share with you. Um, I don't know if you're gonna remember that. I just remember because I was watching our live stream, again, after
Mm-hmm.
I recorded it. And I saw you asking me a question about the cans of sodas. Right. Do you remember what question you asked me back then?
No.
No? Okay. Tell me something. Last class, when we were watching this video here in the whereby, do you remember if for you the subtitles, the YouTube subtitles, appeared or not?
They didn't.
They didn't. Okay, now that's great because what I want to share you is really cool. You said when you were talking about the cans, because you understood that there was a bucket of ice, but you could not identify the words cans of sodas, right?
Cans of sodas, yes.
Okay. So you don't remember what you thought the sound was like, right? You don't remember it
No.
because you said Kansas, like the state in the United States.
Kansas, yes.
Do you remember
I
that? Okay.
Mhm.
Man, you did very well when you did that. Do you know why? Because you're not
Because-
no, let me tell you. You're not the only one. the YouTube machine, the speech recognition software made exactly the same mistake. I was reading the subtitles today by accident because not by accident because I wanted to check the way they were producing our subtitles. And man, it's really good because they're doing a great job, and the YouTube, the way you were pronouncing and the way we have these conversations, the subtitles are very accurate, But it was interesting because when Daryl said cans of soda, the way he linked them made the software to think it was Kansas too, just like you did. So what does that mean? I mean, what's your interpretation of that? What you're reading on this?
I don't know. Yeah, I heard Kansas because I'm too used with the word Kansas. That I'm following sports news, so the football word is all about a guy that played for Kansas City, but like saying a cans of sodas, I think eventually people do not pronounce everything as clear as they want. So
Because what I wanted to share with you is this is my point of view. This is good listening, even if it's wrong. Of course, it's bad if we think, okay, but Kansas doesn't fit in the context of the conversation because it was a bucket of ice. What, from Kansas, in Kansas? What's the connection, right? Okay,
Yes.
if we consider that, but if we consider the sharpness of your listening and recognition of sounds, it's perfect because the software did exactly the same thing, So I
Yeah.
think this is good news. You should be proud of yourself.
When I understood Kansas, I was okay. That should be some beer, some some brand that
Okay.
is from Kansas or has the Kansas name, and I didn't recognize the product. It was a
Cans
You
of
know,
soda.
yes.
No, but that was interesting. Okay, so let me play this thing here. Here we go.
Hatred in check. That hatred in turn will breed destruction. We want to destroy those things that we hate. Why? Because they frighten us. But guess what? They may have been harmless and we were simply ignorant. So we just had some more laughs. We carried on with the conversation. No more problems. I would invite the man, I was interviewing Klan people all around the country. He was the first. I would invite him down to my house. He lived about an hour and a half away. He would come down to my house with his bodyguard. I would invite over some of my other black friends, some of my white friends, some of my Jewish friends, just to allow the leader to engage in conversation with other people other than me. This went on for a couple of years. After a couple of years, he got promoted from state leader, Grand Dragon, to national leader, Imperial Wizard. He began inviting me to his house.
Okay, so Leo, explain to us that part. So
Okay, so
after that,
yeah.
right, the conversation went on. They had a few more laughs, and then
and nothing else had caused the same discomfort that they had. Nothing got them out of their comfort zone and again. And he said that after that moment, he decided, or he was using this verb tense, that I would invite more
I'm very happy.
more.
I'm very glad you paid attention to that. What's your interpretation? When you
Uh,
consider the structure he used, he said, well, he would invite this guy to come to his house. He would invite some of his friends, some
mhm.
of his white friends.
Yeah, I think like the word would for me as a Brazilian, every time that I heard this, is always triggered me the feeling of condition. So I would do like I would do that if this didn't happen. Something in this case that the possibility of something uh to be is not fixed.
Hmm.
It's not
But tell me something.
a
This
sure thing.
it's interesting that you're bringing that analogy. You make that connection, right? So for you, any sentence, right, or generally speaking, you as a Brazilian, when you hear a sentence with the auxiliary or modal would, you associate with a condition.
A condition.
You kind
Yes.
of do that, right? My question to you is this: even in this case, even in a case
No.
like this, considering this context, so
Yes.
if not in this particular context, what do you associate with? So he would
Um,
invite the clan leader to his house.
um, on this case, the first thing that came to my mind is like him put himself in a third person view of the following the sequence of that story after that. So he's telling what would happen after that, looking from that moment. Like
Uh-huh.
at the end of the conversation, he would see those sequence that sequence of events happening after that.
Very interesting. you know, you are the very first person to use that strategy, and it works. I think it's perfect. I think I might use that the next time I have to explain this to a student of
Explain.
mine. No, but seriously, from a student's point of view, from a learning strategy point of view, I think it's brilliant, and it works perfectly. Like if you position yourself as an observer, even though he was telling his story with this guy, right? But
Hmm.
in telling the story, he would pretend he were. It was like he was pretending to be somebody else. So you see,
Hmm.
I would do that. After I got to know that guy, I would do this, I would do that, and so on. That's brilliant. That's perfect.
I think by having been exposed to this construction a
Mm-hmm.
lot during my lifetime, I've learned that every time that someone is telling a story like that, you not necessarily use the past. You're just telling the sequence of something.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood what he's telling, and this is the major point for me. The first time that I heard he saying "I would," I thought, okay, maybe that didn't happen actually. But then I
Ah,
realized that it did.
it did happen.
That was something that actually happened on his life, and it's not something that he's speculating about the future. He's
It did
he's telling
happen. It
it
did
did
happen.
happen.
Right.
So uh, the first time that he used it, I considered that it might not happen.
Mm-hmm.
It might
So it might not have happened.
have happened.
It might not
Yes.
have happened. Mm-hmm.
But after that, I realized, okay, so now he's using that strategy, that structure that I have been exposed a lot. So I understood that was a fact. That was the story, the
Mm-hmm.
real story.
So you see, that's another very interesting conclusion that you got to. In other words, he was in fact talking about something that did happen. So
Hmm.
then, and now I'm going to borrow something that he used in his presentation. Well, this is a learning moment, right? It's a teaching moment and it's a learning moment. I suppose that in our case here, we can say this is a learning moment. And the
Hmm.
lesson is, well, yes, I I can and I should associate would with a condition. In lots of cases, it's going to be like that, but it depends on the context. Normally, the particle, the word if, must be present, right? Or a
Hmm.
condition must somehow be expressed in order for me to think that would has to do with that condition, right? This is what we call Generally speaking, the second conditional in English. But so the lesson you learned, yes, is that I can use would to talk about the past. Okay? Because then what I would like to do is to add something else to that. Are you familiar and not only familiar, but are you also comfortable using the structure used to talk about the past?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example?
I used to go outside, but since the pandemic, I've been here.
Hmm.
You
Oh
know,
man,
it's
I'm very happy you offer this example because we're gonna clear this out. Actually, you're mixing two structures, and it's a very common Brazilian misconception. Repeat what you said. I want to show you something.
I would.
I
I
would.
used to go outside,
I used to go outside.
but since the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
I've been stuck inside here. I
Okay.
don't know. So
Right. No, actually, no. Actually, let me rethink. This is a good example. So what you're telling me is that you don't go outside anymore.
yes,
Okay. But this was like a habit you had in the past.
yes.
Okay. But just for clarification purposes, let's go a little bit further down the road into your past. Give me an example of something that you used to do as a kid.
I used to play soccer in the street
With your friends.
with my friends. Yeah.
Okay. At that time when you did that, did you also go to school?
Mm-hmm.
And you played soccer in the morning or in the afternoon?
The morning.
Because in the afternoon you went to school. Right.
Oh no, yeah, I played soccer in the afternoon. Sorry.
In the afternoon because you went to school in the morning.
In the morning,
Okay.
yes.
So I want you to pay attention to this. So I'm going to pretend I'm you, okay? And I'm going to tell your story. Yeah, I was very happy as a kid because I remember every afternoon, for example, I would go to my friend's house and invite them to go down the road where we had a little soccer field to play soccer. So every afternoon I would play soccer with my friends. And every afternoon after our game of soccer, we would go down to a snack bar and have a can of soda. We would always do that. Now, if I say that, in other words, if I say this, if I tell you the same story using used to, you see, I used to go to my friend's house every afternoon, and we used to go down to the soccer field where we played soccer, and every afternoon after our soccer practice, we used to go to a bar to a snack bar and have a can of soda. Is it the same story? How do you feel about that?
Okay. I think it. For my understanding, it is the same story, but I believe that there is something that I'm missing here in my knowledge, my English knowledge, because the feeling that I had on the second example is that you were always talking about the past,
Mm-hmm.
and the past as something like, if after the school I use
Let me
I
simplify.
cannot formulate that. Yeah.
No, relax. Let me simplify it for you. Because actually it's the same. I'm not trying to trick you. It's the same thing. I would go to my friend's house every afternoon. I used to do that. Is the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is that would, if you think about, plays the same role as used to describe a habit in the past. What Daryl described to us was like a habit, something that he did repeatedly after he got to know this guy. After the first meeting, the incident with the bucket of ice and the soda cans. After that, he met this guy several times. The inviting that guy to come to his house was not a one thing. He did many times. So he used to invite this guy to come to his house. He used to invite other people to come to his house as well, to have a conversation so that this guy would engage. Remember that? Okay. So used to or would is the same thing. Now here's a little challenge for you. Let's pretend, because I don't know what kind of kid you were, but let's suppose you were a fat kid. You used to be fat. This time when you played soccer with your friends, you were a little bit chubby, you know? And I don't know, some of your friends made fun of you. Maybe this was a problem and so on. And I could say, no, but do you remember that? Do you remember that you used to be fat? That you used to be chubby? Well, you're not anymore. You're a regular guy now, right? But you used to be rather chubby. Now, if I say that, referring to your past and using used to, does it sound right to describe your past like this? Is it okay? If I say, but man,
Yes.
remember, you used to be fat. You're not fat anymore, but you used to be. Sounds okay, right? Well, if I said earlier that used to and would are kind of interchangeable, maybe we could try it here too, right? So let's try. Leo, remember when you were a kid and you would be fat? Does it sound right?
Yes, because it was not a habit. It was
It was not an action, it was a state.
a
You
state.
see,
Yes.
being fat is not an action, it's a condition, it's a state.
Being stuck inside is a state, not an action.
Okay?
This is why I should have not used have been. Is that
No. Wait a minute. Let me clear
Okay.
that out later. Okay.
Yes.
Focus on would and used to. Being fat, right? So why is it wrong for me to say, Balel, remember, you would be fat? It doesn't make sense. It seems that it doesn't send the right message. But when I say you used to be fat, it was okay. So in this case, it seems that used to and would are not interchangeable. But
Yes.
playing soccer, I used to play soccer with my friends. Every afternoon, I would play soccer with my friends. In this case, they're interchangeable. So what's the difference between one and the other? What's the difference?
action and state?
Yes, playing soccer, to play soccer is an action. To be fat is a state. So these two structures, would and used to, mean the same thing, and it refers to the past, except that you must never use would if whatever you are referring to is a state. You can do that with used to, but not would.
Okay.
Crystal clear?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go back to the question with have been.
Yeah,
Being
because
stuck.
you said that was a common mistake that I've made, because I said that I used to go outside, but since then I've been stuck here.
Yeah, but actually, I must apologize to you because you see, I was a bit too fast in my interpretation. I thought you were going to say something else, which is a Brazilian thing. What I'm trying to say is this. You don't have a problem with that, actually. I don't think you do.
Okay.
But the mistake I'm referring to is this. You know that we use usually to talk about something that we do regularly. For example, I don't know, when you go shopping, right? We have lots of supermarkets here in Florianopolis. We have, I don't know, Angelone, Imperatriz, and others, right? But where do you usually go?
I usually go to Rosa.
Okay, there you go. So you
I
see,
go to
I usually go there, right? Generally, normally, you go there, right? Okay. A lot of Brazilians think they can communicate the same message saying, oh, but I'm used to, or I used to go to Rosa. That's completely wrong. This has nothing to do with something that you usually do. If you say you used to do, it's in the past. It's a habit. You no longer do that thing.
Got it. So they said in a way that like I'm used in a okay. I got like I'm familiar or I'm comfortable with the habit that I've been doing that for a long time.
but that is a
Estou
distortion.
acostumado a.
Yeah, but this is a distortion. Okay, you cannot do that with used to. So
Okay.
the expression used to can be a little bit confusing for students, right? Because they do this, okay? Usually students of course, at a lower level than you. But I don't know what analogy they make, but they do that, okay? And then there's another thing that we should, since we're talking about this, since we're on the subject, I'm going to go ahead and mention it to you, which is a variation of this, which is to be used to. For example, when I was a teenager, it was very hard for me to get up early in the morning. In fact, I used to hate it, right? So Every year, at the end of the year, I would have a vacation. I would, I don't know, go camping with my family. And every day I could get up late and so on. So in March, classes would start again. And it was a nightmare for me in the first 2 or 3 weeks. But you see, after some time, I would get used to it. I would get used to getting up early again, right? Okay. So try to imagine a situation like this. Suppose you're my friend. We're kids. And we're going to school. And you see me all happy and lively, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And you turn to me and say, Alfredo, but don't you have a problem getting up early in the morning? I mean, don't you hate getting up early in the morning? So I might turn to you and say, yes, but now I'm used to it. I am used to it, which means I got accustomed to this. I adapted to this. Okay, so it's a similar structure. We use the verb to be used to something, meaning you are adapted, you're accustomed to it.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So let me send you the link for the next part.
So they asked me when's the next time I was going to a Klan rally.
Sorry.
I told them, and they said,
Just a second. I sent the wrong, the time is not right. Just 1 minute, please.
I take some more notes from my book. He began inviting me to Klan leader to engage in conversation with other people other than me. This went on for a couple of years. After a couple of years, he got promoted from state leader, Grand Dragon, to national leader, Imperial Wizard. He began inviting me to his house. I would go to his house. I would see his Klan den where he'd have his meetings. I'd take some more notes from my book. He began inviting me to Klan rallies. I'd go to these Klan rallies, watch these Klansmen and Klanswomen in their robes and hoods parade around this big 20 to 30-foot cross with their torches, and then go to the base of the cross, throw down their torches, and then whoosh, this big thing would be on fire. They would give speeches and things like that. Well, CNN knew who I was through music. They knew who he was through the Klan. I thought this would make a great story.
Okay. So, Leo, microphone.
Okay.
Can you tell me about that part?
Yes. After these meetings on Daryl's house, that the Klan leader would engage with different people from different places, different backgrounds, Jewish, white people, black people. The Klan leader was promoted from Grand Dragon to Imperial Wizard.
Imperial Wizard.
Imperial Wizard. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think it's like the nickname of the role that he was playing on the organization. And this means that he was promoted to the national leader of the Klan. And then after this promotion, the Klan leader would invite Daryl to go to the Klan meetings, to his house to learn more about the meetings, about their
Ideology,
rituals,
if you will.
ideology,
Rituals.
yeah, for the book. And he was also invited to go to rallies, the Klan rallies. He was there watching people dressed with their robes, using their
The hoods.
the hoods, yes, with torches on their hands, and walking around the big, I think 20-30 feet cross.
Because
Yes.
part of
And-
the ritual is to set it
Set
on
a cross
fire.
on fire.
Is to light the cross, right? It's a big part of the ritual. And then they would give speeches, right, in these rallies too, right? And then
And then
CNN.
oh, so this is the part that entirely missed. Like the final two phrases.
It's okay.
It
I'll
is
play it again anyway a little bit. But what you need
okay.
to know is this: CNN, the news network, they knew who Daryl was through his music, and they knew who the Klan leader was through the Klan because of his position in the Klan, right?
Mhm.
And somehow they got to know that there was a relationship between a black man and a Klan leader, and they thought this would make a great story. That's the part that you missed. Okay?
Okay.
So let me just play that again. 1 second. Here we go.
Klan. I thought this would make a great story. So they asked me when's the next time I was going to a Klan rally. I told them, and they said it was on a Saturday. They said, "Are you performing anywhere Friday night?" I said, "Yeah." So they came by the club where I was playing with my band. They filmed me to show what I do for a living normally. And then they came to my house Saturday morning and followed me 2 hours up the road. And they said to me, "Do you think Mr. Kelly will even talk to us?" I said, "I'll do better than that. When the rally is over, I'll get the Imperial Wizard to come back to my house, and you can interview the head of the Ku Klux Klan inside a black man's house." They said, "Oh, okay." So they filmed the whole rally, and this clip was shown on CNN every hour for 24 hours all over the world. I want to show it to you now, but I want you to pay particular attention to what Mr. Kelly says. Here you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Leo, go ahead
Mhm.
and explain to me everything you understood.
Okay, so CNN talked to him and asked him um, when he would perform, so they could record him playing with his band.
Right.
He said that was the rally that he would go was in Saturday. Is
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, so on Friday night they went to a club where his band was playing, and they got some footage of him playing with his band, so they could have material to show what he does for living.
For a living. Yes.
For
Uh-huh.
living,
For a
yes.
living. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the
After that,
idea
on
was to
Saturday,
go to the club first to film Daryl in his natural habitat, right?
mhm,
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not suggesting he's an animal in any way. No, but it's just in his natural environment, right? Where he
mhm,
works, where he plays. I mean, what he does for a living, right? So that
yes.
would be Saturday night, Friday night, right?
Friday night,
Okay.
yes. The
And
rally
then
was on Saturday. They went to his house on Saturday morning, and he went with him 2 hours.
up the road.
They traveled with him for 2 hours from his house to the place of the rally, because I think in the past he had mentioned that the distance between his house and the clan leader's house was about an hour and a half or something like
Yeah.
that.
No, it's something like that. Yes.
So I assume that the rally was close to the clan's leader house.
Mm-hmm.
So he went there with them. They got everything in, and during the trip, they asked him if he thought that actually they say to him that probably Mr. Kelly would not he would not like the fact that they were getting this. I don't know if they are affirming that, or if they were
Yeah,
asking
I
him
guess you
direct.
could say they were not sure if they
They
were
are not sure.
if they were not sure if they would be able to record an interview with him, if he would
Hmm.
agree to give an interview to CNN. And
Hmm.
then Daryl said he was going to offer something better than that.
Better than that, yeah.
Yeah, what did he say?
He would invite Mr. Kelly to go to his house, so they would be able to make an interview of the national Ku Klux Klan leader inside a black man house.
Brilliant. And then what did he say about this story that CNN showed?
Yeah, it was shown on CNN in each hour
Every hour.
for every hour for 24 hours around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something very, very
Mm-hmm.
um,
And he was
shared.
about to show us when I stopped, right?
Yeah, the
And he
video of
right, and he instructed us to pay special attention to something Mr. Kelly said. Remember
Mhm.
that? Okay, so let's have a look.
Was shown on CNN every hour for 24 hours all over the world. I want to show it to you now, but I want you to pay particular attention to what Mr. Kelly says. Here you go.
Friendship can transcend all kinds of boundaries.
Just look at us. And two men in Washington area are showing that even an African-American man and a member of the Ku Klux Klan can find common ground. CNN's Carl Rochelle reports.
Daryl Davis plays a hot piano. It's part of the show, and it makes him stand out. He also stands out here. Davis is one of the few African Americans you will ever find attending a KKK rally. More than attending, he is welcome.
I got more respect for that black man than I do you white niggers out there.
It's been a tough day for the Klan. Their Maryland rally found many local residents rejecting the message of white separatism. After it's over, Daryl Davis hangs around backstage with his friend, Klan wizard Roger Kelly. It's not unusual for blacks and whites to be friends, but it is unusual to find a black man and a Klan leader chatting pleasantly over an orange soda after a Klan rally. The relationship started over a book Davis was writing. His secretary set up an interview with Roger Kelly, but didn't tell him Davis was black. They talked and talked some more. Davis learning about the Klan, Kelly learning about Davis.
We get to know one another and we do different things, you know. It hasn't changed my views about the Klan, you know, because my views on the Klan's been pretty much cemented in my mind for years.
Kelly and his Klan friends go to hear Davis and his band. And Davis goes to their rallies.
I sat on the front row and listened to each Klansman speak. Some things I agreed with, other things I did not agree with.
Davis thinks that his presence promotes badly needed understanding.
Hate stems, I believe, from fear of the unknown, and I think this is all across the board, regardless of whether it's a Klansman or anything else.
But he has no illusions about the Klan. If he did, his friend would be quick to disabuse them.
And I believe in separation of the races. I believe that's in the best interest of all races.
Does he really? Or has friendship transcended the color barrier? Listen to Kelly at a Klan rally.
I will follow that man to hell and back, because I believe in what he stands for and he believes in what I stand for. A lot of times we don't agree with everything, but at least he respects me to sit down and listen to me. And I'll respect him to sit down and listen to him.
The strange relationship of a KKK wizard and his black buddy. In Washington, I'm Carl Rochelle, CNN Sunday Morning.
Strange. Good adjective, strange.
Certainly that.
Okay.
Okay, Leo.
That was very hard to understand, Mr. Kelly, because he
I
has
know.
a strong accent from the South.
Yes, I know. A very strong southern
Southern.
accent. Yeah, I know. I completely. But don't worry, I'll help you. So he wanted us to watch, that piece of news that went on for 24 hours every hour.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me?
Okay, I think the crucial parts are the parts that I'm not sure about, because a simple contraction like didn't and did can make the whole difference of the meaning. So that was very hard for me, because all the time that I found a crucial part, I was unsure about the
meaning,
if it was
the
a
message.
positive or a negative
Right.
message. But
Okay.
he said that the story was talking about these two guys. The first part of the story was showing Daryl playing the piano, and then showed him on the rally. And the first thing that Mr. Kelly said was something like, "I have more respect for this guy than for this nigga white people over there," or
Well,
something like
so
that.
I have more respect for this guy than you white niggers.
White niggers.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did he mean?
Obviously he was being it is full of prejudice. He was talking about like that he valued more Daryl more than them, but by doing that he was being racist, saying, using
In fact,
a bad
if we
word.
think about technically, he's offending everybody, right?
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah. Because he used the word nigger, which is derogatory. It's a derogatory term if you refer to a black person, right?
Yes.
So he used the derogatory term they used to offend black people, referring to white people. So he's hurting everybody. You know, he's offending anybody. But why did he say that? And that's the thing you were not sure, if I understood you correctly. I have more respect for this man than you, white niggers. When he said white niggers, who was he referring to?
To people who were questioning his position.
Exactly, because you see, they had that rally, you know, in wherever it was, but apparently it was a local, a public place, and local residents had come and they had brought signs in which they opposed the Klan's views on race separatism, you know, because it was a message that said something like this: God loves us all, black and white, you know. So anyway, so it seems that in that particular rally, they faced some opposition from local residents. Peaceful, but they were there with signs and so on. So probably when he said to the reporters, I have more respect for this black man than I have to you white niggers. So he was referring to the local residents. What else?
Then they showed the backstage that the Klan leader would go. He grabbed a soda and he tossed to Daryl in a way that
It's like he
showing
hang
that they
out.
were friends.
Yeah,
they were
he hang
hanging
out
out
backstage with those guys, right?
And then they showed an interview of him. They didn't mention the place of the interview, but in which the Klan's leader was talking about their relationship. And this is another part that I believe that was crucial, and I could not have. Perhaps I'm making a mistake in my understanding, but he said that they were friends, but they respect each other's position, because sometimes they agreed, sometimes, or maybe I'm messing with Daryl's interview, but it's something like sometimes we agree with some things and sometimes we don't, but they kind of respect them in their positions.
Right. Did you? I don't know if you can separate this on your mind. There was a moment when Daryl was alone, perhaps in the club, giving an interview, and he said that he believed that fear stemmed from ignorance. Do you remember when he said that? It was right after they showed him playing the piano, and they said, well, he plays a hot piano, and that helps him to stand out. It's part of his show, probably, right? He put something in it. And he set it on fire, perhaps a little bit of alcohol or something there, right? Okay, then he sat down and he said, look, he believed that fear stemmed from ignorance. Are you okay with this expression, stem from?
Stem?
Yeah. It spells like this. Wait a second. Let me write it down. Stem from. So he believed that fear stemmed from ignorance.
It's like derive?
Yes. Okay. And here is a byproduct for you. Recently, there has been, not recently, I mean, this has been going on for more than 10 years, I guess. But have you ever heard about a special cell that we have in our bodies that is collected at birth, usually removed from your umbilical cord? Do you know what we call that cell?
In Portuguese?
Yes.
Células tronco?
Yeah. In English, we call that stem cells. Does that make sense? Why?
Because that are the cells that
everything else that we have.
Everything else came from that.
Comes from origin, derives, right? So you see the connection. Stem cells. So he believed fear stemmed from ignorance, the fear of the unknown. So that was something that he was trying to combat in a way with this friendship that he tried to establish with these Klan members and so on. Okay, and in the end, right in the very end, when he said something about respect.
Respect?
Yeah, the Klan leader.
I think he said that they respect each other's position, but he was talking that, but in the end he was talking he was making his speech. I believe, like he was talking about that he believes that separating races was better for all races.
Exactly, the separation of the races was in the best interest of every race. He believed that. So Daryl and him, they had different views of the world, right? And Daryl's friendship with him did not change his views. And do you remember that he said that those principles, those ideas had been cemented in his mind?
Cemented.
Did you hear that or not?
No, I don't remember this.
He said that those ideas, those principles had been cemented in his mind. Okay, I'm just drawing your attention to that because Daryl is going to use that later. Okay,
cemented in a way of construction.
Yes, like concrete. You know, like they were solid. They had been cemented in his mind. Okay. So when we get to the very end, right, the Klan leader said something about respect. So the thing about their relationship is that they disagreed on a lot of issues, but they were able to sit down and talk and respect each other. Did you hear that in the end? Yeah? Okay. So when the scene ended and they went back to the studio with the anchors, do you remember what the anchor said?
Strange. This is the only adjective.
Right. Okay. So pay attention to that because everything is going to be used again. 1 second.
Of white separatism. After it's over, Daryl Davis hangs around backstage with his friend, Klan wizard Roger Kelly. It's not unusual for blacks and whites to be friends, but it is unusual to find a black man and a Klan leader chatting pleasantly over an orange soda after a Klan rally. The relationship started over a book Davis was writing. His secretary set up an interview with Roger Kelly, but didn't tell him Davis was black. They talked and talked some more. Davis learning about the Klan, Kelly learning about Davis.
We get to know one another and we do different things, you know. It hasn't changed my views about the Klan, you know, because my views on the Klan's been pretty much cemented in my mind for years.
Kelly and his Klan friends go to hear Davis and his band. And Davis goes to their rallies.
I sat on the front row and listened to each Klansman speak. Some things I agreed with, other things I did not agree with.
Davis thinks that his presence promotes badly needed understanding.
Hate stems, I believe, from fear of the unknown, and I think this is all across the board, regardless of whether it's a Klansman or anything else.
But he has no illusions about the Klan. If he did, his friend would be quick to disabuse them.
And I believe in separation of the races. I believe that's in the best interest of all races.
Does he really? Or has friendship transcended the color barrier? Listen to Kelly at a Klan rally.
I will follow right man to hell and back because I believe in what he stands for and he believes in what I stand for. A lot of times we don't agree with everything, but at least he respects me to sit down and listen to me. And I'll respect him to sit down and listen to him.
The strange relationship of a KKK wizard and his black buddy. In Washington, I'm Carl Rochelle, CNN Sunday Morning.
Strange. Good adjective, strange.
Certainly that.
Okay. Now you heard the Klan leader say that even though he and I would do different things together, it did not change his views on the Klan because his views on the Klan had been cemented in his mind for years. And he went on to say how he believes in separation of the races because that is to be in the best interest of all races. But at the very end, he said that he respected me. I'm his enemy. I'm a black guy. He's in the Klan. He said, we may not agree on everything, but at least he will sit down and listen to me and respect me, and I will sit down and listen to him and respect him. Very important. If you have an adversary, give that person a platform. Allow them to air their views. If you agree with them, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. You challenge them politely and intelligently, not rudely or violently. When you do things like that, there's an excellent chance they will reciprocate and give you a platform to express your views. You make sure you do them intelligently and influentially, because you each have to think at the end of the day, who was right? And if you can just create that little spark, that spark can become a flame and grow. So over the years, he and I would continue these conversations and sitting down, respecting each other, to listen to each other. I did not respect what he had to say, understand. I respected his right to say it. And over the years, that cement began to crack and then began to crumble. And then a few years back, Roger Kelly quit the Ku Klux Klan, and when he did, he gave me his robe and hood. This is the robe of the Klan leader, the same one you saw him wearing in that video.
Okay. Surprised?
Yeah, a lot, actually.
Leo, I'm sorry that I'm stretching here a little bit, doing some overtime with you, but the video is about to finish, right? Can we stretch it 2 or 3 more minutes just to finish?
Yes, yes.
Yeah? Okay, but before I do that, go ahead and tell me what you understood, because it was interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, I think I was so focusing on understanding or hearing the story that I forgot to pay attention to what I would report later.
It's okay. It's not a problem. Don't worry. But tell me what
Yeah, he said that after that they would meet again several times. They would have this moment to express their ideas, even though they disagree. And he advised people to treat your enemy with respect, not violent, because this way, if you give them a platform so they can bring their ideas and their thoughts, perhaps they would feel good about the idea of offering you a platform, so you would be able to give your opinion about.
Chances are that they will reciprocate, right? If you give them a platform to air their views, and if you listen to them, right, and if you respect their right to speak, to air their views, there's a good chance that they will do the same. They will reciprocate.
And after that, everyone would go home and think about who was right. And perhaps if you start a little sparkle, that sparkle can become a flame, and the flame become...
Because even though they disagreed, right, at the end of the day, both of them would have to go home, think about what they had discussed, and really to themselves admit, okay, maybe that guy's right? So you have to, in the end, come to a conclusion. Who's right? And then by doing that, you start a spark. You start with a little spark that can turn into a flame. Then what was the result of that? Over the years, that thing that had been cemented began to crack.
To crack and then crumble.
And then to crumble. Do you understand the difference between crack and crumble?
Yes, I think so.
So when you have a block of cement or concrete, if you crack, you break it to bigger pieces. If it crumbles, you break into particles. And then what was the result of that?
And after some years, Mr. Kelly quit the Klan, and he gave to Darrow his leader robe.
The robe and the hood. Exactly the one.
The very same that he was using on the...
That he was wearing that day, right? When CNN filmed him. Okay. So here we go. This is the very last part. Just a couple of minutes more.
Okay.
This is the robe of the Klan leader, the same one you saw him wearing in that video, right here. You know, it bothers me a great deal that we call ourselves the greatest nation on the face of this earth. Perhaps we are, technologically. We invented the means to put Neil Armstrong on the moon. And while he was up there walking around talking about one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, we could communicate with him. How is it that we as Americans can talk to people as far away as the moon or anywhere on the face of this earth, but yet many of us have difficulty talking to the person who lives right next door because of the color of their skin, their religion, their persuasion, their ethnicity, etc. It seems to me that before we can call ourselves the greatest, our ideology needs to catch up to our technology. And once we get them both up there, we can truly brag. We are living in the 21st century, folks. We are living in space age times, but there's still too many of us thinking with Stone Age minds. The two news desk anchor people implied that I was strange. Well, I'll tell you what, if being strange gets people to give up stuff like that, we all need to be strange. Now, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Leo. So, your final thoughts on Daryl's final thoughts.
Yeah, he said that America used to brag that they were the greatest country in the world, that they might be.
Just one quick question. They used to brag or they brag?
They brag.
They brag.
Yes.
Or then this time we can even use the word usually.
They
Americans usually brag about their status in the world, right? They brag they are the greatest nation on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And perhaps they are technologically, but they are not culturally. I don't know if this is the word that he used in that moment, but he said that they unveiled, is this word? Unveiled the ways to send Neil Armstrong to the moon.
Oh, they invented. They invented the means, the technology to put a man on the moon, right?
On the moon,
and communicate with that guy. So while he was there, walking around on the moon, right, and saying it was one small step for man
and
a
big
giant leap
for mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And said that even when he was there, they were able to talk with them and with him, and now they have the technology. Or they are able to talk to anyone on the surface of the earth.
Anywhere on the surface of this planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot sometimes.
But sometimes we cannot talk to the neighbor next door because their skin, their religion, their ethnicity. Ethnicity. And he said that they could brag that they were the greatest nation in the world, but they were not gonna beat this. They were not gonna have this status as long as their ideology didn't match with their.
So let's
technology.
Just reorganize that. Before they can brag, that they are the greatest nation in the world, their ideology has to catch up.
Yes.
Yeah, their ideology has to catch up with their technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said something else. Folks, we are living, right?
On the space age?
Space age time.
Space age time, but we have people living or thinking as people from the Stone Age.
Stone Age. So we still have a lot of people thinking with Stone Age minds. And that's it, my friend. Okay.
Very interesting speech.
It is, isn't it?
Story. Yeah. And this is like I remember that you asked me before. Okay, what do you think about that fear that those people feel and this is like I truly believe on his idea that we should be able to communicate it and to understand their fears. It's not like people were bad, but they develop they develop this along their life because of the facts that happen on their lives, and I believe that we still have hope. There's still a way that we can turn this around.
I completely agree with you, and for me too, I feel grateful that I found this guy. Actually, Google found him for me because, based on my recent search, because we've been talking about what happened in America. You're a journalist. We've been discussing this. So at some point, this talk show, this TED Talk with Daryl popped up in my list, And I don't know, I was attracted because he's a fat guy wearing a yellow shirt. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. But also the title, because did you notice? It
Clan
says
We
that
Talk.
Clan We Talk. It really attracted me. So I went there, and the minute I heard his voice, and the first sentence he pronounced, I thought, my God, his English is beautiful. Because as a teacher, I want that, I want to have good listening material for my students. But then I watched it, and I realized the content was awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I was
Sorry.
just going to say something to you, but don't forget what you're going to say, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know exactly what you're
Yeah,
saving
yeah.
there? Okay, don't forget. No, because for me, this has been a very interesting week. I've been using this video with you and the other student that I do live sessions in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? With this girl, we have a deal like you and I. Okay, we're gonna go live, and everybody's cool about this, right? It's open. I'm not advertising yet because I'm using this as more as a testing platform. Well, yesterday, we had a guest for the first time. One person went online. So this person went online and said something like this. Oh, hello. Good morning. And then, well, remember I asked you something once, or I don't know if it was you, about haters on social media, on the internet. Okay. So watch this. The person says, hello, good morning. What language are you speaking? So someone typed this. What language are you speaking? Can you speak up, please? And then they asked a question like, are you doctors? Well, when I saw those messages, what do you think happened to me? What do you think my reaction was?
I have no idea.
No idea?
No idea.
But can you imagine how you would have felt if this had happened during our session? A little bit pissed, perhaps?
No, I think it would be.
What language are you speaking? Somebody typed that.
But could be like an honest question,
An honest question?
I'm sorry. The person typed in English.
In English.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
I would be pissed.
Okay. So watch this.
I thought that was in Portuguese, so the person was actually trying to.
No, in English. Hello, good morning. What language are you speaking? What language is this? Okay, but other than that, there was nothing offensive, They asked, could you speak up? Speak up, please. And are you doctors? And then there was no reply. They left. So I thought, okay, haters. Someone saw one-to-one personal English class and thought, who the hell are these guys? I mean, do they think they know something about this language? And I don't know. Some people just go out there, just to take a piss. But, and I turned to my student, because she didn't know, because this is something that only I monitor because I'm streaming, Only I have access to what's going on when I'm going live, right? For example, you only know what's happening here in the whereby interface. So I turned to her because I wanted her to be aware of what was going on. And also because we have this deal. We don't care about haters. We're going to ignore them no matter what. But I said, look, my dear, I think we've been visited by one of those haters. And I asked her, what do you think we should do? Should we just ignore or write something? And she said, well, let's just ignore. It's not a problem. Forget about it, and so on. And my reaction was, I was a bit pissed. And the first thing I want to do was to find a way in my live streaming of shutting down the commentaries, or banning anybody who wanted to join. I didn't know where I would find that. But that was my initial reaction. So after the class was over, and I saved the file and I posted it, and like you do on YouTube, I realized something. I only saw that message in the middle of my class. And that person wrote those things in the very beginning of the lesson. In the very beginning of the lesson, my WhatsApp was open and I was writing messages in Portuguese to my son's mother. So this person said, "What language is that? Can you speak up?" Because there was no sound. I was just typing. "Are you doctors?" Maybe he thought this was a special channel, and doctors having conference calls or something like that. So for me, that was a learning moment, For Daryl was a teaching moment, but for me it was a learning moment. Why did I react the way I did? Ignorance. And fear of what? Fear of being rejected. Fear of being disapproved. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
So you see, if I had known the origin of the message, if I had known what the message was about, my reaction would have been different. But I didn't. So you see, for me, that was the unknown. And he said that fear stems from ignorance. I was ignorant of what that message meant. I was ignorant of what that message was coming from. I had no idea. And because fear breeds hatred, I hated that guy. I wanted to shut him up immediately. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Because we can apply, if we think about it, it's very easy to apply Daryl's theory. I'm not saying that it's easy, because it's human nature, to get defensive, even when we're not being attacked. Because you see, that was not an attack, but I misconstrued it as an attack. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with you. And
okay,
this is something
so now back to what you were saying, because I interrupted you. You were saying something.
Yeah, I'm using this quarantine for different purpose. There are some weeks that I'm playing more, some weeks that I don't know, cleaning the house more than the usual. I have this different waves of behavior.
But generally speaking, Leo, has it been good for you? Because I've been enjoying it, I've been doing lots of things that I appreciate.
I'm missing some important things on my life, my social life, especially like parties. The work is okay, but the parties are the thing that
you're a party goer.
Yes, I really miss the following the heat, as Charlie would say in Lost.
Okay.
But yeah, and recently I've been studying a lot, some things that I believe and that I want to know more in order to be able to talk, to discuss, to argue in conversations.
Right.
And one person that one person that I've been exposed to, especially because of the racial issue in the United States, was a woman called Angela Davis.
Angela
Have
Davis.
you ever heard?
No. Tell me about her.
Okay, so she's very important to understand the whole racial issue for America, because she was for a period, for a time, she was the leader of the Black Panther Party,
right?
And she ran for presidents for the Communist Party of America. Right. So she for I think in the 70s she had been in the FBI top 10 most wanted persons.
Right. Okay.
So she's very important for understanding the history of America, and especially because her trial after she was caught, and her trial was the biggest televisioned trial.
Televised. The biggest televised
televised trial that came until O.J. Simpson. So she was
Okay.
the biggest case that media had
Uh-huh.
until O.J. got caught. So basically, her ideas are very important. She's a very important person that had wrote several books about the question. And last year she came to Brazil and she made a speech, and she's very into the social, the civil rights movement and so on. She has an idea of how the law system should be.
The
And
legal
this idea,
system, the
the legal
judicial.
system,
Uh-huh.
yes, and it's very radical. It's very, and this is why I was saying that I have hope, even though it sounds crazy. That is it's utopic
Utopic.
topic. It's out of the box of my head right now, of my mind, to understand the kind of society that she's proposing.
Right.
But I was so bugged by
Uh-huh.
this line of thought, like this ideology, that I decided to look more and to look for her books and to do some research about what she's proposing. So, like I said, I'm using more of my time to study, and she's a very important person for the kind of things that I believe. And I wanted to say that because before I was saying that I have hope. I believe that we can talk to everyone. We can turn the fate of humanity, the path that we are following, to something more I don't know, hopeful for a better
We can be
and
hopeful about our future, right?
about
A
our
better
future.
future for humanity.
And she is this kind of person that believes. I'm not gonna talk because I haven't studied enough to discuss, but what she's proposing, that our legal system and the world's legal system should not be based on punishment. If you commit a crime, and the concept of crime should not exist anymore. If you do something for a person, it's very uh, it's very based on the conversation and on the conciliation of both parties.
Mm-hmm.
And that right now the legal system, the legal system
Mm-hmm.
of America, the prisonal system, is serving for the purpose of the rich ones to enslave.
Yeah, like we saw in the 13th.
And the 13th, yes.
Yeah.
So she's very on the edge of this line of thoughts of, okay, it's the whole system that is broken. It's not only put people on. It's not only about putting people on cages,
Mm-hmm.
on jails, but the concept of the jail and the crime.
Everything
Why
must be rethought.
rethought? Yes,
Yeah.
it's very radical, but it's very like I said, it intrigued me.
Okay.
Is this?
Man, let me ask you this. I think we need more time for this. Maybe another class on this woman. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna get in contact with you, Leo, because next week we're back in business, with the classes and everything, and I have to rethink about my schedule. Okay, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to keep doing the lives simply because I won't have time. But I definitely want to do something. We'll think about it. Okay.
No problem.
I would like to thank you again for being with me for the last 3 weeks. Okay. And during the week, like I said, I'll send you a message and we'll catch up.
Okay.
One more time. Thanks. I'll see you around. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.